Bandeham Shiguro Shiyata Parakamalam Shigurun Vaishnavam Scha Shirupam Sagrajatam Saganaraganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shirana Krishna Paran Sahagana Lalita Shivishakam Vitam Sya Om Agyana Timaranda Shagyana Jana Shalakya Shakshuram Militam Yena Tasmai Shigurave Namah Gaurava Bhishtam Supurakam Gurganara Sisha Sambhushitam Chintya Chintya Samasta Veda Nipanam Shirupa Patanagam Govinda Bidam Ujwalam Bharatanam Bhaktyan Vidam Sundaram Bande Vishwagurun Shah Divyat Bhagavat Prem Nahi Bija Pradam Devam Divyatanam Suchandavanam Balarka Shilanchitam Sandrananda Puram Sadeka Varanam Vairagya Vidyam Buddhim Sri Siddhanta Nidhim Subhakti Lasitam Saraswatanam Varam Bandetam Shubharam Mareka Sharanam Nyashishvara Shridaram Vanshakapatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Mahamaranyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauratavishe Namah. So we're hearing from Sri Chaitanya-charitamrta by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, translation and commentary by Srila Prabhupada. And since today is Hera Panchami, I'm skipping ahead and I'm reading from Madhya Lila chapter 14, Performance of the Vrindavan Pastimes, text number 104. Navadina Gundi Chate Rahe Jagannath Mahaprabhu Aiche Lila Kore Bhakta Sat. For 9 continuous days, His Lordship Sri Jagannath Dev stayed at the Gundicha temple. During this time, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also stayed there and performed the pastimes with his devotees that have already been described. Jagannath Vallabhanam Bora Pushparam Navadin Koran Prabhu Tatai Vishram. The garden of his pastimes was very large and was named Jagannath Vallabha. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took his rest there for 9 days. Hera Panchami, Hera Panchamira Din, Aila Janiya, Kashim, Mishre Kohe, Rajas, Sayat Nakoria. Knowing that the Hera Panchami festival was drawing near, Maharaj Pratra Parudra attentively talked with Kashi Misha. Karya Hera Panchami, Habe Lakmira Vijay, Aiche Utsavakora, Jena Kabunahi Hoy. Tomorrow will be the function of Hera Panchami or Lakshmi Vijay. Hold this festival in a way that it has never been held before. Mahotsavakora Taiche Vishesh Sambar Dekima Prabhur Jaiche Hoy Chamatkar. Maharaj Pratra Paruda said, hold this festival in such a gorgeous way that upon seeing it, Mahaprabhu will be completely pleased and astonished. Takurer Bandareyam Ara Amara Bandare Chitra Bastra Kinkani Ara Chatra Chamare. Take as many printed cloths, small bells, umbrellas, and chamaras as there are in my storehouse and in the deity storehouse. Dwaja Vrindapataka Gantaya Karahaman Mandan Nanabadya Nritya Dolai Koraha Sajan. Collect all kinds of small and large flags and ringing bells, then decorate the carrier and have various musical and dancing parties accompany it. In this way, decorate the carrier attractively. You should also double the quantity of prasadam. Make so much that it will even surpass the Ratha Yatra festival. Okay. Arrange the festival in such a way that Mahaprabhu may freely go with all his devotees to visit the deity without difficulty. In the morning, Mahaprabhu took his personal associates with him to see Lord Jagannath at Sundarachala. Sundarachala is the Gundicha temple. The temple of Jagannath at Jagannath Puri is called Nilachala, and the temple at Gundicha is called Sundarachala. Sundarachala. So that's where the Ratha Yatra goes from the Nilachala temple to Sundarachala, which is the which, as we said, is the Gundicha temple. The Rath Yatra is going to the Gundicha temple. Then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his personal devotees returned to Nilachala with great eagerness to see the Hera Panchami festival. Kashi Mishra received Mahaprabhu with great respect, and taking the Lord and his associates to a very nice place, he had them seated. After taking his seat, Mahaprabhu wanted to hear about a particular mellow of devotional service. Therefore, mildly smiling, he began to question Swarup Damodar. He wanted to hear Rasa Vishesh, about rasa involving the Lord. So, although Lord Jagannath enjoys his pastimes at Dwarkadham and naturally manifests sublime liberality there, still once a year he becomes unlimitedly eager to see Vrindavan. Pointing out the neighboring gardens, Mahaprabhu said, all these gardens exactly resemble Vrindavan. Therefore, Lord Jagannath is very eager to see them again. Externally, he gives the excuse that he wants to participate in the Rath Yatra festival, but actually wants to leave Jagannath Puri to go to Sundarachala, the Gundicha temple, a replica of Vrindavan. The Lord enjoys his pastimes day and night in various flower gardens there. But why does he not take Lakshmi Devi, the goddess of fortune, with him?
Janardan Maharaj ki jai.
So this is a very precise question. You know, the Lord enjoys his pastimes day and night in various flower gardens there. But why does he not take Lakshmi Devi with him? She's, after all, she is his wife, right? Wouldn't you expect that he would take his wife with him?
He doesn't have entrance there, I thought.
Well, we have to hear more. Swarup Damodar replied, my dear Lord, please hear the reason for this. Lakshmi Devi, the goddess of fortune, cannot be admitted to the pastimes of Vrindavan. In the pastimes of Vrindavan, the only assistants are the gopis. But for the gopis, no one can attract the mind of Krishna. The Lord said, using the car festival as an excuse, Krishna goes there with Subhadra and Baladev. All the pastimes with the gopis that take place in those gardens are very confidential ecstasies of Lord Krishna. No one knows them. Since there is no fault at all in Krishna's pastimes, why does the goddess of fortune become angry? Swarup Damodar replied, it is the nature of a girl afflicted by love to become immediately angry upon finding any neglect on the part of her lover. So those who are in an association, men with women, or with their wives or their what do they say, fiancé, whether with their wives or fiancé, they may know of these things. It is the nature of a girl afflicted by love to become immediately angry upon finding any neglect on the part of her lover. While Swarup Damodar and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu were talking, the procession of the goddess of fortune, procession of Lakshmi, came by. She was riding upon a golden palanquin carried by 4 men and bedecked with a variety of jewels. The palanquin was also surrounded by people carrying umbrellas, chamara whist, and flags, and was preceded by musicians and dancing girls. The maidservants were carrying water pots, chamaras, and boxes for betel nuts. There were hundreds of maidservants, all attractively dressed and wearing valuable necklaces. In an angry mood, the goddess of fortune arrived at the main gate of the temple, accompanied by many members of her family, all of whom exhibited uncommon opulence. When the procession arrived, the maidservants of the goddess of fortune began to arrest all the principal servants of Lord Jagannath. The maidservants bound the servants of Jagannath, handcuffed them, and made them fall down at the lotus feet of the goddess of fortune. Indeed, they were arrested just like thieves who have all their riches taken away. When the servants fell down before the lotus feet of the goddess of fortune, they almost fell unconscious. They were chastised and made the butt of jokes and loose language. This is what's happening today in Jagannath Puri. This festival, Hera Panchami, that's being described. how the goddess of fortune has become enraged because Jagannath is gone, 9 days, and she's waiting for him to come back. He hasn't returned, so she goes there, but very attractively dressed with fine garments, preceded by maidservants and musicians, and this is her way of showing, her particular mood about having been neglected by Lord Jagannath. She shows herself in the most, we could say a proud way, right? She goes there. So here we find that when they get to where the Rath cars are at, the Rath cars are at this place, and there's the maidservants then find the servants of Jagannath, handcuff them, and make them fall down at the lotus feet of the goddess of fortune. Indeed, they were arrested just like thieves who have all their riches taken away. When the servants fell down before the lotus feet of the goddess of fortune, they almost fell unconscious. They were chastised and made the butt of jokes and loose language. When Mahaprabhu's associates saw such impudence exhibited by the maidservants of the goddess of fortune, they covered their faces with their hands and began to smile. Swarup Damodar said, "There is no egoistic pride like this within the three worlds. At least I have never seen or heard of it." So it says, Damodar kohe aiche manera prakar Sri Jagate kahan nahi teki shuniyar. He says there is no egoistic pride like this within the three worlds. At least I have never seen or heard of it. Now, we also have heard that the word mana, right, is sometimes translated as jealousy. So, when a woman is neglected and disappointed, out of egoistic pride, she gives up her ornaments and morosely sits down on the ground, making lines on it with her nails. Now, this is what a normal woman would do. When she's neglected, she would be depressed. She would sit on the ground. She would draw on the ground, making lines on it with her nails. I've heard of this kind of pride in Satyabhama, Krishna's proudest queen, and I have also heard of it in the gopis of Vrindavan, who are the reservoirs of all transcendental mellows, Rasara Nidan. But in the case of the goddess of fortune, I see a different kind of pride. She manifests her own opulences and even goes with her soldiers to attack her husband. Jai. Shripad Bhakti Chandan Parvat Maharaj ki Jai. Shripad Bhakti Shripad Bhakti Ranjan Madhusudan Maharaj ki Jai. Okay. But in the case
Bhakti Pavan Janardan Maharaj ki Jai.
But in the case of the goddess of fortune, I see a different kind of pride. She manifests her own opulences and even goes with her soldiers to attack her husband. And this is going on today, as I said, Hera Panchami. The servants of Lakshmi Devi, she's going there and they're attacking. Actually attacking, we'll see, they're arresting the servants of Lord Jagannath and attacking we'll see, they're attacking the Rath cars. They're beating on the Rath cars. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "Please tell me of the varieties of egoistic pride manifested in Vrindavan." Swarup Damodar replied, "The pride of the gopis is like a river flowing with hundreds of tributaries." So, all this is going on. We see Mahaprabhu is so deep, his moods, that during the Ratha Yatra, he's like showing he's talking deeply about how this is like Krishna going to Kurukshetra and the residents of Vrindavan going to Kurukshetra and meeting there after so many years, and how upset the gopis were, and especially Radharani, about being instructed by Uddhava that, "Oh, you're so great that you're always thinking of the Lord will give you, is for your everlasting glorification, etc. And the gopis responded. Like, please, we're not trying to do this for some kind of mystic elevation. That's not our intention. We're not like jnanis and renunciants that we're all trying to elevate ourselves by our activities. We're just ordinary persons performing our activities. And as for Krishna, as far as always remembering him, we would like to even at times forget him, because we find that he's very neglectful and he's forgotten everybody. And why should we remember him? But we can't forget him. So there's this deep mood of Mahaprabhu during the whole Ratha Yatra. The Ratha Yatra is going on, and Mahaprabhu is showing this mood. Here, the whole festival, the festival of Hera Panchami is going on, and this big spectacle is going on with the Lakshmi coming, and they're arresting the soldiers of the servants of Lord Jagannath and tying them up and making them butt of loose jokes. And then Mahaprabhu turns to Swarup Damodar and he says, and Mahaprabhu says, oh, we've heard of this kind of pride in others, like we've heard of Satyabhama, her kind of pride, and of the gopis. But here we see a special mood of Lakshmi, that she dresses up opulently instead of feeling depressed. She dresses opulently, becomes very angry, and then goes to attack her husband. But then Mahaprabhu turns to Swarup Damodar after he's hearing of. But in the case of the goddess of fortune, I see a different kind of pride. She manifests her own opulence and even goes with her soldiers to attack her husband. Then he turns to Swarup Damodar. Please tell me any of the varieties of egoistic pride manifested in Vrindavan. Swarup Damodar replied, the pride of the gopis is like a river flowing with hundreds of tributaries. So, I mean, it's incredible. Mahaprabhu's, the whole Hera Panchami is going on, and Mahaprabhu, this chapter is called Performance of the Vrindavan Pastimes. Mahaprabhu, while it's going on, he wants to contrast this with Vrindavan. He wants to hear about, now we heard something about the pride of Lakshmi, he wants to hear about the pride of the gopis. The characteristics and modes of love are different in different women. Their jealous anger also takes on different varieties and qualities. It is not possible to give a complete statement about the different types of jealous anger manifest by the gopis, but a few principles may serve as an indication. Now, normally I read the Bengali, but here I'm reading just the English, but when I come to Sanskrit, I will read the Sanskrit, because actually Chaitanya-charitamrta is presented in vernacular language at the time, which was Bengali. But the Sanskrit is given, and then there would be Bengali translation. So when we get to the Sanskrit parts, we'll read the Sanskrit, approximating the Sanskrit, and then give some translation. There are three types of women experiencing jealous anger: sober women, restless women, and women both restless and sober. Okay. When a sober heroine sees that her hero, when a sober heroine sees her hero approaching from a distance, she immediately stands up to receive him. When he comes near, she immediately offers him a place to sit. The sober heroine conceals her anger within her heart and externally speaks sweet words. When her lover embraces her, she returns his embrace. So we're reading about Hera Panchami. The sober heroine is very simple in her behavior. She keeps her jealous anger within her heart, but with mild words and smiles, she rejects the advances of her lover. So the sober heroine conceals her anger, but she's very simple in her behavior, but she keeps her jealous anger within her heart, but with mild words and smiles, she rejects the advances of her lover. The restless heroine, however, sometimes chastises her lover with cruel words, sometimes pulls his ear, and sometimes binds him with a flower garland. The heroine, with a combination of sobriety and restlessness, always jokes with equivocal words. She sometimes praises her lover, sometimes blasphemes him, and sometimes remains indifferent. Heroines may also be classified as captivated, intermediate, and impudent. The captivated heroine does not know very much about the cunning intricacies of jealous anger. Yes, just see Swarup Damodar. I mean, he went to Benares and took sannyas. And yet he's speaking about the different kinds of heroines, the sober, the restless, the combination of sober and restless. Heroines may also be classified as captivated, intermediate, and impudent. The captivated heroine does not know very much about the cunning intricacies of jealous anger. The captivated heroine simply covers her face and goes on crying. When she hears sweet words from her lover, she is very satisfied. Now, I don't know how exactly this chapter is performance of the Vrindavan pastime. So this is about what's going on between Swarup Damodar and Mahaprabhu in their discussion about the qualities of, anger and jealousy that are seen in the gopis and also in Radharani, of course. Both the intermediate and impudent heroines can be classified as sober, restless, and both sober and restless. All their characteristics can be further classified in 3 divisions. Some of these heroines are very talkative. Some are mild and some are equipoised. Each heroine, according to her own character, increases Sri Krishna's loving ecstasy. Although some of the gopis are talkative, some mild and some equipoised, all of them are transcendental and faultless. They please Krishna by their unique characteristics. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu felt unlimited happiness upon hearing these descriptions, and he again and again requested Swarup Damodar to continue speaking. Swarup Damodar said, Krishna is the master of all transcendental mellow and the taster of all transcendental mellows, and his body is composed of transcendental bliss. So there's a lot of transcendentals here. Let's see how it sounds. Damodar Kohe, Krishna Rasika Shekhar, the master of all rasas, Rasa Asvadak, the taster of rasa, and rasa moy kolebar. And he is made of rasa. It was rasa kolevara. His body is made of all transcendental rasa, or all rasa. Damodar Goswami said, Krishna, okay, we read that. Krishna is full of ecstatic love and always subordinate to the love of his devotees. The gopis are very much experienced in pure love and in the dealings of rasa. There is no flaw or adulteration in the love of the gopis, therefore they give pleasure, Krishna the highest pleasure. Lord Sri Krishna, okay, here's a Sanskrit verse. Let's see how far we want to go with this. Well, a lot's being described here about Radha Krishna Leela. This is all Swarup Damodar speaking during the time of the Hera Panchami. And he, let's see, describes Srimati Radharani, the different classes of gopis. The gopis can be divided into a left wing and a right wing. Both wings induce Krishna to taste different rasas by various manifestations of ecstatic love. So the left wing gopis are kind of like those who are more, what?
Passionate,
anger, full of all, and the right wing gopis are a little more, cerebral, we'll say, from what I understand, in the sense that they're cerebral in the sense of more, sober, nice dealings, but still, showing anger. Of all the gopis, Srimati Radharani is the chief. She is a jewel mine of ecstatic love and source of all conjugal mellow. Radharani is grown up and her character is equipoised. She is always deeply absorbed in ecstatic love and always feeling in the mood of a left-wing gopi. Because she is a left-wing gopi, her womanly anger is always awakening, but Krishna derives happiness from her activities. Then it goes on with deep description of Radha Krishna Leela, the Dana Kali, where Radharani wants to go and pick flowers and Krishna appears as a constable who will stop her. No, these flowers are outside. You cannot pick these flowers. It is unlawful. Or you cannot cross over this. You cannot cross this place to get to the other side of the river, or whatever it is. This is not allowed. I'm blocking your way. And then when Radharani starts, becoming disturbed, or she cries, and Krishna uses it sometimes as an excuse to touch her and everything like this. And it's like, so here, when When Krishna wants to touch her, Radharani, he prohibits her from going to the spot where one can cross the river Jamuna. Approaching her, Krishna prohibits Srimati Radharani from picking flowers. He may also touch her in front of her friends. So this is, their Leela is going on like this, and it's being described. This is, and it shows what Radharani's reaction is to Krishna's different advances. Pride, ambition, weeping, smiling, envy, fear, and anger are the 7 ecstatic loving symptoms manifested by a jubilant shrinking away, and these symptoms are called Kila Kinchita Bhava. So this is and then there's descriptions of Mana Bhava, all the different kinds of anger and ecstasy that Srimati Radharani is exhibiting. So, this is what's going on and being discussed on Hera Panchami. Then, as this continues, it's a very intimate discussion, actually, as you would expect, between Swarup Damodar and Mahaprabhu. And how Radharani, I'm not going to describe the whole, everything of, it goes on for many, many pages of Radharani's, feelings. When Krishna comes forward and greedily snatches at the border of her sari, Srimati Radharani is actually very pleased with him, but still she tries to stop him. So I don't know. She exhibits a kind of dry crying, as if she is offended. There's also, there's also kind of some womanly nature that she's crying and, maybe covering her face, but, there are no tears coming from her eyes. It's a dry kind of crying. And then, so this goes on, this description, very nice. It is not at all possible to describe the unlimited pastimes of Sri Krishna, even though he himself describes them in his incarnation of Sahasrabhadana, the 1,000-mile Seshanaga. So I'm not describing all that, I'm just giving an indication what's going on. At this time, Srivas Thakur smiled and told Swarup Damodar, "My dear sir, please hear, just see how opulent my goddess of fortune is. Oh, this Lakshmi, she's really, she's really beautiful and opulent. Just see." And then, as far as Vrindavan's opulence is concerned, it consists of a few flowers and twigs, some minerals from the hills, a few peacock feathers, and the plant known as gunja. And this gunja means they're like berries, at least the gunja mala I've seen. They're red and white berries that like dried berries or like beans. You've seen that, right? Gunja mala. So he says this. Srivas Thakur is saying, as far as Vrindavan's opulence is concerned, it consists of a few flowers and twigs, some minerals from the hills, a few peacock feathers, and the plant known as gunja. When Jagannath decided to see Vrindavan, he went there, and upon hearing this, the goddess of fortune experienced restlessness and jealousy. She wondered, why did Lord Jagannath give up so much opulence and go to Vrindavan? To make him a laughingstock, the goddess of fortune made arrangements for much decoration. Then the maidservants of the goddess of fortune said to the servants of Lord Jagannath, "Why did your Lord Jagannath abandon the great opulence of the goddess of fortune? And for the sake of a few leaves, flat fruits, and flowers, go see the flower garden of Srimati Radharani. Your master is," this is all Srivas Thakur speaking, "your master is so expert at everything, but why does he do such things? Now bring your master before the goddess of fortune." In this way, all the maidservants of the goddess of fortune arrested the servants of Jagannath, bound them around the waist, and brought them before the goddess of fortune. When all the maidservants brought Lord Jagannath's servants before the lotus feet of the goddess of fortune, the Lord's servants were fined and forced to submit. "All right, you now pay this fine. You have broken the law." Okay. All the maidservants began to beat the Rath car with sticks, and they treated the servants of Lord Jagannath almost like thieves. Finally, all of Lord Jagannath's servants submitted to the goddess of fortune with folded hands, assuring her that they would bring Lord Jagannath before her the very next day. "Oh, we'll bring Lord Jagannath back to you tomorrow, Being thus pacified, the goddess of fortune returned to her her apartment. Just see, my goddess of fortune is opulent beyond all description. Then Srivas Thakur continued to address Swarup Damodar. Your gopis are engaged in boiling milk and churning it into yogurt, but my mistress, the goddess of fortune, sits on a throne made of jewels and gems. Srivas Thakur, who was enjoying the mood of Narad Muni, thus made jokes. Hearing him, all the personal servants of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to smile. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then told Srivas Thakur, my dear Srivas, your nature is exactly like that of Narad Muni. The Supreme Lord's opulence is having a direct influence upon you. You're becoming affected by the Aishvarya, the opulence of the goddess of fortune has gone to your brain. Swarup Damodar is a pure devotee of Vrindavan. He does not even know what opulence is, for he is simply absorbed in pure devotional service. Swarup Damodar then retorted, my dear Srivas, please hear me with attention. You have forgotten the opulence of Vrindavan. The natural opulence of Vrindavan is just like an ocean. The opulence of Dwarka and Vaikuntha is not even to be compared to a drop. Well, he says to him that your nature is exactly like that of Narad Muni. Narad Muni, he's traveling through the Vaikuntha planets, but you are being affected by the opulence of Vaikuntha. The natural opulence of Vrindavan is just like an ocean. The opulence of Dwarka and Vaikuntha is not even to be compared to a drop. Sri Krishna is the Lord himself, full of all opulences, and his complete opulences are exhibited only in Vrindavan Dham. Vrindavan Dham is made of Chintamani. Its entire surface is a source of all valuable jewels, and the Chintamani stone is used to decorate the lotus feet of the maidservants of Vrindavan. Vrindavan is a natural forest of desire trees and creepers, and inhabitants do not want anything but the fruits and flowers of those verses. So what is it, the verse where we're glorifying Shishi Radha and Govinda? What is the deities? You say that verse, I can... No. Where we say Madan Mohana, and then... Yeah. Say loud.
You know the verse, no?
I do, but my brain is blocked. Yeah, so where are they sitting? Where are they seated?
On a jeweled throne.
On a jeweled throne. Under what kind of trees? Kalpavriksha. Desire trees. I mean, what was this? There's a story, and Vrindavan is full of kalpadenus. And what was the story? There's a story, just an excerpt, that story of who was it that was trying to steal one kamadenu? What was it? You know that story?
Is it
what? Vishwamitra Muni and who is the? He was trying to steal the kamadenu, right? And he was jealous. Who is he jealous of? There's one. Anyway, I think it's Vishwamitra. He's jealous of the jealousy of one very exalted person. Like there's a story of that one time who is it? Seshanaga. He has the planets on his head, and he says to who is that? Muni, he says, oh, these planets, can you hold these planets for a while? So that other person who has a kamadenu, okay, I can hold the planets. But, in other words, he's got great mystic power. And anyway, he had a kamadenu. There's a whole discussion about how practically a war took place over one kamadenu. But Vrindavan is full of kamadenus. And is full of desire trees. And there's millions of Lakshmis, all that Lakshmi Sahasra Satazambrahma Sevyamana. You know, it's full of like gopis are more than goddesses of fortune. You know. In Vrindavan, there are cows that fulfill all desires, kamadhenus, and their number is unlimited. They graze from forest to forest and deliver only milk. The people want nothing else. In Vrindavan, the natural speech of the people sounds like music, and their natural motion resembles a dance. You know, I was once with Srila Govinda Maharaj on a flight of, Singapore Airlines, which he really liked that airlines, and he remarked, when they came to serve him prasadam, the hostesses, they knelt down so that they weren't leaning over him. They were looking at him at his face level. They squatted down, so they were looking at Govinda Maharaj at his face level. He noted this detail, that they're not like looking over him, what do you want? They're looking at him at face to face. They're kneeling down so they can see him, eye contact, and what is it you would like, sir, and everything like that. And he noted this, and Govinda Maharaj said, this reminded him of Vrindavan. When he's on Singapore Airlines, you know, the hostess, the way they acted, and them kneeling down and being kind of like graceful and this reminded him of Vrindavan.
He said we can learn from those hostesses on Singapore Airlines.
Yeah.
This is the move.
Yeah, and just imagine that. I'm on that flight. I wasn't reminded of Vrindavan by the hostesses. But Govinda Maharaj was. In Vrindavan, there are cows that fulfill all desires, kamadhenus, and their number is unlimited. They graze from forest to forest and deliver only milk. So it goes on describing. In Vrindavan, the natural speech of the people sounds like music, and their natural motion resembles a dance. The water in Vrindavan is nectar. And the Brahmajyoti effulgence, which is full of transcendental bliss, is directly perceived there in its form. So, anyway, I'll go on just here. The gopis there are the goddesses of fortune, and they surpass the goddess of fortune who abides in Vaikuntha and Vrindavan. Lord Krishna is always playing his flute, which is his dear companion. The damsels of Vrindavan, the gopis, are super goddesses of fortune. The enjoyer in Vrindavan is the Lord himself, Krishna. The trees there are all wish-fulfilling trees, and the land is made of touchstone. The water is all nectar, the talking is singing, and the walking is dancing. And the constant companion of Krishna is his flute. The effulgence of happiness is experienced everywhere. Therefore, Vrindavan is the only relishable abode. And it goes on. Okay. Srivas Thakur then began to dance in ecstatic love. He vibrated sounds by slapping his armpits with the palms of his hands, and he laughed very loudly. Thus Mahaprabhu heard these discussions about the pure mellow of Srimati Radharani. Absorbed in transcendental ecstasy, the Lord began to dance. While Mahaprabhu was dancing in ecstatic love and Swarup Damodar was singing, the Lord said, go on singing, go on singing. The Lord then extended his own ears. Thus Mahaprabhu's ecstatic love was awakened by hearing the songs of Vrindavan. In this way, he inundated Purushottama Jagannath Puri with love of Godhead. Finally, the goddess of fortune returned to her apartment. In due course of time, as Mahaprabhu was dancing, afternoon arrived. After such singing, all four Sankirtan parties grew fatigued, but Mahaprabhu's ecstatic love increased twofold. While dancing absorbed in Srimati Radharani's ecstatic love, Mahaprabhu appeared in her very form. Seeing this from a distant place, Nityananda Prabhu offered prayers. So, anyway, I'm just describing. This is Hera Panchami. This is today. This is Mahaprabhu's mood. And while all this is going on, Mahaprabhu is hearing glorification of Vrindavan while the whole festival is taking place. Okay. Shri Rupa Raghunath Padi Jarash, Shri Rupa Raghunath Padi Jarash, Chaitanya-charitamrta Kohe Krishnadas. Bring it to lotus feet of Shri Rupa and Shri Raghunath, always desiring their mercy at Krishnadas and narrate Shri Chaitanya-charitamrta, following in their footsteps. Anyway, I thought I would give some description of Hera Panchami. You know, it's not always, you know, as always, it's very deep. And, you know, the pastimes being described are very elevated pastimes of Radha and Krishna. And that's what Mahaprabhu is listening to. I just, you know, just like I was saying, this is, when I first met Srila Sridhar Maharaj, immediately while he's talking, all of a sudden his mind would shift. It was like Guru Maharaj, all of a sudden his thought process would go somewhere else. And he'd be talking about some, you know, some subject between, you know, that was going on. And then all of a sudden he would start, you know, he would somehow would trigger something of his thought of on another level. And I saw Guru Maharaj just start speaking about, you know, it didn't matter who he was with. He would just start speaking about some very divine very divine subject matter. It was just all of a sudden, like somehow or other, imperceptible connection. He would, you know, he would see and he would begin speaking. And that was quite, I saw that was quite, you know, not out of the ordinary for Srila Guru Maharaj, right? To just like be talking to you and somehow or other, the conversation would trigger him to speak on some divine subject. And that we saw, because he would go to give a class and then he would speak. Instead of saying he could not speak, he would go on speaking for hours, right? So anyway, I'm stopping here. I hope everyone has some perception of Hera Panchami. I'm just trying to glorify this day on the calendar, speaking out of sequence, so to speak. Okay.